What's up, baddies, and welcome back to the channel. Now listen, today's video is not for the weak because the tea we're about to get into has been simmering in Atlanta for years, and at this point, the lid has completely blown off the pot. This is one of those stories where the more you look back, the more you realize that the signs were always there. We just weren't paying attention closely enough. So today, we're talking about Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker, their marriage, the cheating rumors, the open relationship conversations, the prenup drama, the money, the power imbalance, and the allegations that Todd wasn't just stepping out with women, but possibly men as well. And before we even go any further, let me say this clearly. Everything discussed in this video is alleged. This is commentary, opinion, and publicly circulating information. No defamation, just discussion. Now let's get into it. So allegedly, this past summer, back in June, I took a little trip to Atlanta. I was staying at the St. Regis Buckhead, which for those who know, is not exactly a low-key location. This is where celebrities stay, business deals get made, and people who think they're untouchable get way too comfortable. I was minding my business, enjoying the ambiance, when I allegedly saw something that made me pause. Because sitting at the bar was Todd Tucker. Now at first, nothing seemed off. Todd is a known face in Atlanta, especially in Real Housewives circles, so him being out wasn't shocking. What was shocking was that he wasn't alone. Allegedly, there was a little blonde white woman sitting right on his lap. Not next to him, not across from him, on his lap. Comfortable, familiar, very much giving, this is not our first rodeo. And before anyone asks, no, that woman was not Kandi Burruss. What made the situation even wilder is that this allegedly happened during the same time period that Kandi was on Instagram Live openly talking about the threesomes she and Todd used to have. She was joking, laughing, and being candid, while Todd was allegedly out in public entertaining someone who very clearly was not part of a consensual, mutual situation. Now, hotel staff clocked the energy immediately and told me to put my phone away and back into my bag, so no pictures, no videos, nothing concrete. But best believe I took a mental snapshot, because some things you don't need proof for when the image burns itself into your memory. Fast forward, and suddenly the internet starts hearing Kandi speak more openly about cracks in her marriage. When she finally admitted out loud that Todd wasn't just communicating with one woman behind her back, but multiple women, that's when people stopped making excuses for him. At that moment, it became very clear that Kandi wasn't just annoyed, embarrassed, or frustrated. She was emotionally checked out, because there's a big difference between finding out your partner made a mistake and realizing your partner has been living a double life. And what made it worse is that these rumors were not new. For years, people in Atlanta had whispered about Todd moving funny, club sightings, late-night meetings, women popping up unexpectedly. This was allegedly common knowledge in certain circles. The only reason it never went mainstream before is because their PR team allegedly worked overtime to shut things down before they caught traction. But as we all know, the truth has an expiration date, and once it expires, it doesn't just come out, it explodes. Now let's talk about the open marriage conversation, because this is where a lot of people started side-eyeing Todd and Kandi. Kandi admitted that at one point they opened their marriage, and while she framed it as something mutual, something consensual, something that helped them stay connected, the reality is that open relationships don't fix broken foundations. They only expose what was already missing. And here's the issue. Even after the marriage was opened, Todd allegedly continued to have relationships outside of what was agreed upon. These weren't just people being invited into their bedroom together. These were women Todd was allegedly entertaining on his own time, outside of Kandi's knowledge, outside of her consent, and outside of any boundaries they supposedly set. That's not an open marriage, that's cheating with a loophole. And according to reports, Todd wasn't just casually talking to these women. He was allegedly building emotional connections, lying about his marriage, and painting Kandi as the problem. Remember when Portia Williams said Todd was allegedly going around telling people he was Marvin? Yeah, that didn't sound far-fetched then, and it definitely doesn't sound far-fetched now. Now let's get into the part nobody wants to say out loud. money. Candy has always been the primary breadwinner. From Escape royalties to songwriting checks to Bravo money to business ventures, Candy brought the financial stability into that marriage. And there are countless old videos of Todd talking about Candy's money that have resurfaced online. When you watch those clips back, it doesn't sound like admiration. It sounds like calculation. Almost like he was already thinking ahead to what would happen if the marriage didn't work out. Almost like he was weighing his options. And honestly, the moment Todd said on national television that Candy was no Rihanna, that should have been the moment she packed her bags. Because attraction matters, desire matters, and if a man doesn't want you, he will look for someone else, or several someone else's. Now, let's talk about the prenup, because this is where Todd's resentment really showed. From day one, Candy was clear that she wanted a prenup. She never wavered, she never lied, and yet, right before the wedding, Todd suddenly acted confused, hurt, and blindsided. On camera, we watched him hem and haw, call his lawyer, and get caught in a lie by omission. It was revealed that Todd had misled his own legal counsel into thinking that Candy wasn't already splitting joint assets fairly. Meanwhile, her lawyer had all the facts and was ready. That scene alone told me everything I needed to know. If you can't even be honest with your own lawyer, you don't get to play the victim. And now, years later, Todd has allegedly tried to get the prenup thrown out and even pushed for primary custody of the kids. That's not coincidence, that's strategy. Then there are the rumors about who Todd was allegedly dealing with. Some reports pointed to Candy's friend Carmen, which would make things even messier given that Mama Joyce had already accused the two of being too close years ago. Mama Joyce may be dramatic, but one thing she's never been is stupid. Funky Geneva has also hinted that the woman Todd was allegedly involved with is someone well known in Atlanta's social circles, someone Candy is familiar with, someone whose name allegedly starts with an H. Pictures exist, addresses are known, names are known, but for now, people are holding back, allegedly to avoid causing more stress for Candy and her kids. But let's be real, the internet never stays quiet for long. And just when you thought it couldn't get messier, allegations surfaced that Todd wasn't just dealing with women. There are reports of Todd being spotted with a man moving between hotels. An Uber driver allegedly picked them up multiple times and noticed behavior that raised eyebrows. According to the driver, celebrities usually make him sign NDAs, but Todd didn't, which is why the story allegedly came out. However, what's being reported now is that Candy discovered Todd was communicating with other women behind her back before she officially filed for divorce. And according to sources close to the situation, she genuinely had no idea the extent of what was happening. Candy believed that they were working through their issues together. She believed the therapy sessions meant something. She believed the conversations were honest. She believed they were both still invested in fixing their marriage. What she didn't know was that Todd had already emotionally checked out and was quietly entertaining other women while still living under the same roof. And that right there is the part that really stings. Because it's one thing to fall out of love. It's another thing to let your partner keep fighting while you're already gone. Now, yes, Todd and Candy are getting divorced, and we all expected it to be dramatic. They're public figures. There's money involved. There are kids involved. Of course, it was going to be a circus. But what nobody expected was for the situation to turn this ugly this fast. Word on the curb is that Todd was cheating, and before anybody tries to jump in and say, well, didn't they have an open marriage? Yes, they did. But here's the thing people keep skipping over. An open marriage still has rules. It still requires honesty. It still requires consent. It still requires communication. And allegedly, Todd couldn't even follow the rules of the arrangement that was designed to keep the marriage intact. According to what's being reported, Todd was engaging with women outside of what Candy knew about, outside of what she agreed to, and outside of what they discussed as a couple. That's not an open marriage. That's cheating with extra audacity. And here's the part that really makes people upset. Candy didn't open the marriage because she wanted to. She opened it because she was trying to keep her family together. She was trying to keep Todd happy. She was trying to save something that she clearly valued more than he did. And after all of that, he still violated her trust. So when people ask what more could Candy have done, the answer is honestly nothing. She already bent herself in half trying to make something work that was already cracking at the foundation.
Now let's talk about the prenup, because Todd is really out here testing limits. Todd filed a response to the divorce, claiming that the prenup should be thrown out because he signed it under duress. And when that information came out, a lot of people had the same reaction, laughter mixed with disbelief. Because we all watched him sign that prenup on camera. We watched him joke. We watched him hesitate, yes, but we also watched him agree. There was no gun to his head. There was no confusion. There was no deception. Candy reportedly clapped back immediately and asked the judge to review the footage. Her argument is simple. The receipts are televised. This man knew exactly what he was signing, and honestly, I don't blame her one bit for fighting tooth and nail to protect her money. Candy Burris worked too hard, too long, and too consistently to let anybody rewrite history now. And speaking of money, let's talk about that part because it keeps coming up for a reason. There is no debate about the financial discrepancy in this marriage. Todd worked, yes. He contributed, yes. But Candy was, and always has been, the primary breadwinner. Music royalties, television checks, businesses, endorsements. Candy built an empire long before Todd entered the picture. And allegedly, while his own projects were struggling to gain traction, he was out here enjoying the lifestyle that her success afforded him. That includes clubs, trips, vacations, shopping, and entertaining other women, allegedly on Candy's dime. Let that sink in. Now I want to rewind for a moment and talk about something that happened this past summer, because this is where things start feeling less like rumor and more like pattern. Back in June, I took a trip to Atlanta and stayed at the St. Regis Buckhead. Allegedly, with my own eyes, I saw Todd Tucker sitting at the bar with a little blonde white woman sitting directly on his lap. Not next to him, not close by, on his lap. Comfortable, familiar, bold. And just so we're all clear, that woman was not Candy Burris. What made the situation even crazier is that this sighting reportedly happened around the same time Candy was on Instagram Live talking openly about their past intimate arrangements. Hotel staff clocked the situation immediately and told me to put my phone away, so no photos were taken, but some images don't need proof when they burn themselves into your memory. Now here's where things get even deeper. According to reports, Todd wasn't just talking to random women, he was allegedly building emotional connections. We're talking texting regularly, making future plans, and even lying about his marriage to make himself appear like a neglected husband. Allegedly, he painted Candy as difficult and emotionally unavailable to justify his behavior. And that kind of manipulation is especially cruel when the person you're villainizing is still trying to save the marriage. Candy was reportedly blindsided when she found out just how deep it went. She had no idea he was carrying on entire relationships behind her back while she was still fighting for them. Now, let's get into the part that has the internet in absolute chaos. According to Funky Geneva, Todd was allegedly sneaking around with a mystery woman, and not just any woman. This person is reportedly someone close to Candy, someone in her circle, someone she trusted, someone familiar. And that's why Candy is reportedly working overtime to keep this divorce sealed, because if that information becomes public, the embarrassment and betrayal would be on a completely different level. It's one thing to be cheated on by a stranger. It's another thing entirely to be betrayed by someone you let into your life. And allegedly, people know who she is. Pictures exist, names are known, addresses are known. Her name reportedly starts with an H, and while the information hasn't fully hit the mainstream yet, let's be honest, if whispers have reached this level, it's only a matter of time before the internet puts the pieces together. Now let's talk about how both parties are handling this breakup, because the contrast is striking. Candy has been very open online about how emotionally broken she feels. She's been posting about pain, grief, and trying to hold herself together for her children, her businesses, and her fans. She's still showing up, still working, still carrying the weight of everyone who depends on her. Meanwhile, Todd filed his response to the divorce, challenged the prenup, asked for primary custody of the kids, and then went to the Bahamas with his friends for healing time. Healing time.
While Kandi is crying online. I'll let y'all sit with that. Some people believe Todd resents Kandi for being more successful, for being the breadwinner, for holding the power in the relationship. And now people are questioning whether this entire situation is driven by ego and revenge. Is he trying to hurt her the way he feels hurt? Is he trying to knock her down a peg? Because from the outside looking in, that's exactly what it's starting to look like. And when you look back, the signs were always there. Todd telling Kandi she wasn't Rihanna, Mama Joyce accusing him of being too close to her friends, the Carmen situation, the lingering looks at Portia, the repeated jokes about attraction. People have been saying for years that Kandi wasn't really his type, and now those whispers are feeling a lot louder. Now, some folks are also saying that because they had an open marriage, Kandi may have stepped out as well. And honestly, if that was part of the agreement, she had every right. But the difference is that Kandi wasn't lying, sneaking, or building secret lives. Todd allegedly was, and that's where the line gets crossed. A lot of people close to Kandi have reportedly said they saw red flags from day one, that she ignored them because she didn't want to be alone, because she was tired of dating, because she wanted stability, and Todd allegedly saw opportunity. There's also an older rumor from 2013 about Todd allegedly being intimate with a male stripper who happened to be friends with Phaedra Parks. That story was quickly shut down back then because Kandi was not about to let anyone question her man's sexuality right before their wedding. But now, with everything else coming out, people are revisiting it. Here's the uncomfortable truth. It's hard to believe that Kandi didn't know something was wrong. Maybe she didn't know the extent. Maybe she didn't know the details, but the distance, the lack of desire, the constant tension, the need to bring other people into the marriage, those were all signs. And I think deep down, Kandi knew the marriage might not last. That's why the prenup was structured the way it was. That's why she protected herself financially. That's why she made sure she wouldn't be left empty-handed. Because love doesn't blind you when you're smart, it just makes you hopeful. It's sad to see a marriage unravel like this, especially one that played out so publicly. Marriage is supposed to be sacred, safe, and secure, not a battlefield of ego, betrayal, and manipulation. From the moment I heard about them opening the marriage, I had a feeling this wouldn't end well. Because when two people are truly aligned, they don't need outsiders to keep the spark alive. It feels like both Kandi and Todd sensed, deep down, that they were growing apart. One just accepted it sooner than the other. But now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Todd was ever truly satisfied in this marriage? Do you believe Kandi genuinely didn't know what was going on? And do you think the prenup ultimately saved her? Sound off in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next video. I'll see you next time. Bye, baddies!